different here. I don't know who may even jump on this live, but um, someone had made a comment yesterday and said that they missed my YouTube videos. And I thought about it off and on even lately. So I was like, I'm going to get on there today. Um, I've been present, just not on YouTube. And so towards the end of last year, I just felt to, you know, pull away again and go low, um, and it was there were several months that the Lord was just want me to just lay low and seek His face, and there was a lot of things that was birthed in that place. But anyway, that's not what I'm on here to talk about. The title of this is called, I think it's called, It's on Us Now. And so I just had some thoughts. I've been dwelling on so much lately, and but I'm sitting in front of my fireplace. Listen, I wish the fire was on because it's cold in this place. That's why I have a blanket here. But anyway, it's on us now. I don't know if I'm the only one, but it's really been hitting me lately. Maybe it's just because I'm such a sentimental person, maybe more than the average person. I'm so sentimental. Like, I'm the type, I will look through pictures. I can sit in the floor for hours. It's been a while since I've done that because, it's not every day you have that kind of time to just sit and do something like that. But I could literally sit in the floor for hours. I have done it in the past and look through old photos. Um, and we have old video, like VHS tapes that my dad, he used to use that big camcorder, during, well, not just holidays, birthdays, Christmas, but also just day-to-day stuff. And he was very big on recording moments. And I think that's where I get that from, is my dad. Um, I think he's a sentimental person as well. And, and just everybody's different. Some people just have a more, not just a sentimental side, but a creative side. My dad, he's also, he's a songwriter. I get that from him. He's anyway, I could get into all that, but I won't. Anyway, so I really should have turned up the temperature before I started this because I'm like shaking. But anyway, but lately, especially lately, I have just been thinking, like, we are aging. And I never, just even a few years ago, I don't think that I would have predicted that I would have this going on in my mind. Like, Ashley, you're getting older. I know that's a part of life, but I don't think I really considered that it would affect me. Because I remember, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I've had like a gray strip in my hair since I was like 13, and of course it's got thicker, over the years. But I started getting gray hair when I was a teenager, and I was like, I just took it as that means I'm getting wiser. But um, so as the years have went on, I remember just like I said, 5, 6, 7 years ago, me saying, I can't see myself caring to even have the desire to color my hair or whatever. I don't know if I will or I won't. I'm not saying one way or the other, but um, used to, I didn't think I would care, and now I'm starting to wonder, you know, do I? Will I? Um, I seen a video pop up in memories on Facebook of an older video from like back in 2019, and I was like, oh my goodness. Of course, I know that I'm not going to get on this topic, but I'm just saying as a side note, I do understand that the things we eat and we drink, and if we drink plenty of water or if we don't, can uh, factor in, our aging and all that stuff and how clear our skin looks and this and that. That's a different topic. Not on here to talk about that. Um, And I even seen something not long ago that said by the age of 40, there's like a dividing line of you can tell who's really taking care of their bodies and who has not. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Sometimes I've done really well, and then other times I've not. And, you know, it's no secret. I'm a little thicker than I used to be. You know what I mean? Let's discuss the elephant in the room here, literally. No. But anyway, that's beside the point. Um, so where was I at? But yeah, I was looking at that video and I was like, I couldn't believe. Well, I mean, I could believe it, but it's just wild to me. I'm like, oh gosh, I look older even since then, since 2019. Like I can see such a difference, and I know that's just part of life. That's just part of us getting older, you know. But lately, like Ecclesiastes has come to my mind. It talks about vanity, all of it, you know, life, all of that that's going on. You know, it's all vanity, and you know, and I believe in making yourself like, you know, fixing yourself up to make yourself feel good, and you know, not to gain people's attention, but it does make a difference in kind of even how you approach your day when you get ready. I know when I just keep my pajamas on. If I keep my pajamas on and I go take the kids to school, and I have my hair just thrown up and stuff, and I've not really done much, you know, to fix myself up that day or whatever, I just feel like such a failure. I'm like, who even am I? Like, but then on the other side, I'm, you know, when I do fix myself up, it makes you look at it differently. You know what I mean? And you might know where I'm coming from there. I'm stuttering. Like I had a little bit of too much coffee this morning. I'm not even a big coffee drinker, but this morning I'm sorry, I'm shivering. It's cold in here. But this morning I did stop and get an iced coffee, and I'm already kind of a hyper person, so that's probably not the best idea. Anyway, so moving on. But yeah, I was just thinking, you know, Ecclesiastes talks about vanity and all that stuff, and you know, and as we get older, like I said, I do believe in you know, making yourself look presentable, and making yourself. I mean, it makes a difference in how you approach your day a lot of times, and things, and um, but as we get older, you know, um, I observe. Like I said at the beginning, I'm probably sentimental, like more than your average person. That's part of who I am. Very, very sentimental, and I'm very observant. When we go out and about, like out in public or whatever, sometimes I'll just sit and watch people. And even in the stores, I look at older people, you know, and I think, I'm like, you know, they were young too. They were a baby. They were a little kid. They were a teenager. They went through all the stages, young adult, you know, and then anyway, you know, just every phase of life. And I sometimes think about the young person inside of them, because this body that we're in, you know, we can't even control how we're aging. Uh, Fully. We can't fully control. Like I said, I know that there are some things, some choices we make that can factor into how we maybe ages. You know, you might age quicker if you make certain choices. You know, but anyway, but the older people with the wrinkles all on their face, even sagging or whatever, the white or the gray hair, um, they couldn't control getting to that place. I mean, you can go have Botox done and you can go have all this stuff done, but still yet they've lived life, and you know, and I just can't help but think about the little person inside of them, the young person, the kid, the, you know, we all have a story from our childhood that's in our life situations that's made us into who we are today. You know, and we all have a different story, and we all have things that have factored into why we are the way we are today. I don't know. I sound like I'm in a psychology class or something. I don't know. But like I said, I'm just super sentimental, and I just think about these things, um, and so for me, I've thought a lot, even lately, how there's a child inside of me, and I think about that child, and I'm still learning. I'm 31 years old now, and I find myself every day, like I'm so aware that I'm still learning every single day, and we're gonna be that way until we make it home. Um, I see lights. I don't know if my husband's coming home or what. Anyway, but we're learning. We're learning, constantly learning. We're growing. Hopefully, we're hopefully growing as a person, as a Christian. All those things. And of course, we have a choice whether we get bitter or better, and how we respond to the things that life throws our way, and the tribulations that we walk through, and the things that we have no control over. But anyway, I think about the little kid inside of me, and I have thought sometimes I have allowed myself to be to slow down, and I find myself, there have been times that I've tripped over things that I should have got over years ago. Kidding. Not today. Not today, people. No, I'm just kidding. But get distracted easy. But anyway, but I've allowed certain things. You would think that there are certain things you think that you would have already got over. You know what I mean? Now, on the outside of that, there are things that it took me so long to get over, and finally I'm like, I look back and I'm healed. You know what I mean? I'm healed from that, and I see the growth that has taken place because, of course, the guidance of the Lord, and just surrendering that to Him. But anyway, and but I wanted to say this. So there was a friend of mine. We were at a women's conference, and after one of the services, we were talking. And well, I say after the service, it was actually still going on, but there was a big old prayer line going on, and I'm talking 500 women walking through this prayer line, and so we were in the back talking because it was just really loud, and we weren't distracted or anything. So, but we were just talking, and there was something that she had been praying about, that she had been struggling in, and she walked through that prayer line, and she said she realized, without going too far into it, she realized that there had been something that the Lord had been dealing with her about, that she was running from, like He was wanting her to do, but she was so scared and fearful, and feeling inadequate, that she realized she had been running from it. And so finally, she just surrendered it to the Lord during this conference and said, okay, God, I give you my yes. And so afterwards, we were talking, and she, she's in her 30s. She's 2 or 3 years older than me, probably. And as we were talking, she pointed at an older lady that passed by us, Sister So-and-so. And she said, growing up, I sat under her and people like that. And we looked up to them, and they've paved the way. And she said, now it's on us. It's on us now. And because, those people are still needed as they're here on this earth, but they're getting older, and they're going to pass away. If time lasts, there's an appointed time for each of us to die. And, if Jesus doesn't return before we pass away, then we're each going to have to face that appointed time to die. And life is a vapor, and it's so short, and some days feel so long, but life is so short. And so anyway, and it just really got a hold of my heart. And she's like, it's on us now. Like, we've got to pave the way, because now, as we're getting older, as hard as it is to accept, we've got to accept that, and to step it up, and to walk in our calling. Like, yes, there are times we feel inadequate. There are times we've been fearful and we've been nervous and we have felt like we're not good enough, and you know, we've maybe entertained the thought at times, like thinking too much about what people think of us, and caring too much if they approve or not, and being more pleasers of men than worrying about pleasing God, you know. And so we've allowed, there have been windows of time that, you know, there's, when I say windows, there have been times that we've just spent, wasted on caring so much about, you know, well, is it okay? Like, we've almost waited for someone to sign off on a permission slip for us to do the thing that God has called us to do. But Jonah, it's time to stop running from the call. And listen, I'm in that boat as well. I have been there. I have been there where I've tried to run, and I want to please people, and you know, and it is just a natural human thing to want to be liked and want to be understood, but we're not always going to be understood. In fact, there will be many times we will be misunderstood. Not everybody is going to be for us. Not everyone's going to understand the call. Not everyone is going to understand the decisions we make and the doors we walk through, because they didn't hear the conversations that took place. They didn't see the prayers that had been prayed. They didn't see how the Lord had opened doors, you know. And anyway, there's just a lot I could say on that, but there has to come a time where we realize, where we're reminded, I've only got this one life to live. And it's not just about me. My obedience is not just about me. That's a mouthful. We got to be reminded, we've got one life to live. It's on us now. We've got one life to live. We've got this one opportunity in this life to say yes to the things that God has called us to do. He's gifted each of us. He's put something on our lives, and a mandate, if you will, for us to answer the call, because there's people that only each of us can reach, you know, our own individual circles, and He calls us, and it's up to us if we're going to continue to wallow in the past and the past struggles, the traumas that we've been through in the past. We all have a story, like I said, and at some point or another, maybe some longer than others, maybe some have storms that were darker than others, and maybe it rained on somebody harder than someone else, and the hail came down, and the wind blew the roof off. You know, I don't know, but it's not up to us who has a darker storm or whatever. We've all been through something, but we've got to focus ourselves on what it's all about, and just, it's not about just, we got to quit wallowing. And you know, on this YouTube channel, especially, I look back 10 years ago, I was struggling, but I had such a heart that I wanted to please the Lord. And, you know, and it gave me strength to get on here and to share things as I was working through things. But I have also realized that, Lord, don't let me, and He teaches this, and I'm thankful for His patience, so I'm not just wallowing in this, but I've been like, at times it's been humiliating looking back to the things I've said and shared openly and been so transparent, you know. And I'm like, Lord, going forward, please help me to not use any platform that You give me as just an outlet to vent or to work through my trauma, to show up unhealed where I bleed out on other people. You know, and I don't think I even intended on doing that in the past, and I don't think a lot of people have that intention. I don't think in the moment we realize maybe that's what we're doing, but we must be so careful. And so, you know, there is a difference. I mean, sometimes we do show up in our weakness because, you know, He's strong, and and that can show His glory, you know what I mean? But we got to be careful not to bleed on people who didn't cut us, and to use outlets, or social media platforms as an outlet to be, or whatever. But anyway, um, so as I come to you with this today, my heart is stirred, and I just want to encourage somebody. I know I'm using my hands a lot, but I want to encourage somebody to remember we've got this one life. And yes, we are aging. That's part of it. That's part of life. But I think it's as we see how we're aging, and that'll be different for each of us. But to me, it's a visual representation of how old things need to be done away with, and that we need to step into the new. And that aging and changes of life is inevitable. We look around, and I don't know about you, but lately, this year has been, I'm telling you, there's been a lot of loss. Our church people have suffered through so much loss, and our families. My stepsister, just a couple weeks ago, we were at her funeral. She was 32. She fell and hit her head, and there were, of course, things that she was dealing with in her health, I think, that factored into everything. But now, when I say my stepsister, I had only been around her a few times over the past, 8 or 9 years. And so, I'm not trying to make it sound like I even knew her better than I did, but it's still a sad situation. Now, I'm thankful. I really believe she was ready to go, and the funeral was powerful. They worshiped. There was probably, I don't know, it looked like it was a house full. It looked like about possibly around 200 people at the funeral. I don't know for sure. And then I had never seen so many people show up at a cemetery, and then also at the dinner that the church held for the family and friends afterwards. I had never seen so many people show up. And then not only did my stepdad lose her, but then we just lost a dear woman of God. Let's see, was it Tuesday night? We got the word that she had went on. We had just seen her the day before, and we knew it was coming, but it had happened so fast. She had been, just in July, she was diagnosed with, I think it was stage 4 lung cancer, and she knew she was feeling bad, but she had no idea she had cancer up until, July. And so since the diagnosis, it just went so quick. We just never know. And so I guess that's why my heart is just, I've got all this on my mind. We don't know who's next. And that's not I don't want to live in fear. And it's a very heavy subject, because I think all of us we know how that feels to lose someone, whether it's been someone that we were super close to or kind of someone that we were acquainted with. But either way, it's like, just like my stepsister, I kind of felt like I was on the outside looking in. I kind of, it's like I was still hurting. It was like so sad. But, I didn't know her as well as like my other sisters knew her, especially my oldest sister, Whitney. She had been around her more, and they talked a lot more. And then, of course, my stepdad and all those that knew her, and I knew, like, I had heard she was a beautiful person, inside and out, and like just, had a beautiful voice. She was a worship leader, and, but, so I was like, part of me felt like you don't even have the right to even say anything, but at the same time, it's like, I still felt that sadness, and I'm 31 and she was 32, and I'm just like I said, I'm so sentimental anyway. And we just never know who's next. We don't know. And so it's so important to appreciate the people that we are connected to. We don't know when it's going to be our last moment with them. And that's why I probably get on people's nerves, which I think is more common today. It's not as, probably not as annoying because so many other people do it now, but that's why it's so important to me. I take so many pictures, and I take a lot of videos, and I write up very long posts, which that's how that's just part of who I am. I love to write and things like that. And anyway, but anyway, we just never know. We never know who's next, and it could even be us. Do you hear that? The silence. Is that weighty to you, like it is to me? I mean, I think about it every day. I think about it every day. And there have been times that I have lived life kind of just, I've wasted time. I've not always been a good steward of my time. Sometimes I felt just frozen, like almost paralyzed, whether it was from grief or just struggles of life, and felt like I couldn't even hardly make myself get up to do anything. Feeling so paralyzed mentally, and just, and it affects you physically even. It's no secret. I've shared in the past. I have dealt with depression and anxiety and things like that, and it's real. Those are real things, and more people deal with it than we even realize. Maybe you're one of those people. So that's a real thing. But when you're reminded that, oh my goodness, time is passing us by, and we just don't know when whatever moment could be our last moment on this earth, whether it is through death or when Jesus returns. And I hope that it can be said of me that I lived my life well and pleasing unto the Lord, and I hope that I know it's not about us. I know Casting Crowns has a song. It says, I don't want to leave a legacy. I don't care if they remember me, only Jesus. And, so ultimately that's what we want people to remember, is the Jesus that they've seen through us. And I hope it can be said of me. Not everybody appreciates, your ways, your personality. Not everybody will understand you. Not everybody appreciates maybe how you operate. Maybe you're a caring person. Maybe you show up for people when they don't show up for you. Maybe you do feel like maybe you're the type of person like me that shares long posts, and that's how, in one form, that you share your love. You share, that's because you observe people. Me and Andy were talking about this, my husband, how I've realized that's kind of part of who I am. That's how I kind of share and show my love in a lot of ways is through writing, and I observe people, and it may, I don't know, get on some people's nerves, but other people, I'm like, that's just, and so I know I had told Andy the other day, because I had written a long post about somebody, and I only knew them for a little less than 2 years, but they made such an impact on my life. And this woman of God, I'm telling you, she was so easy to love. And it's hard to we haven't even had her funeral yet, and it's hard to, when I think about it, I'm like, I can't believe she's gone from this earth now. I know she's made it home, she was a worshiper, buddy. She was a prayer warrior, but I told Andy, I'm like, it flows from me, and I write, and I love to say things about people that I observe, And I guess that's one of my love languages. I mean, words of affirmation is my primary love language. And I told Andy, of course, I didn't mean for him to take it. He ended up writing a post about me later that day after I said this, and that wasn't even my, what I was trying to get him to do. I was actually shocked that he did that, but I had said, I do that stuff because I know how it would make me feel. Not everybody would appreciate it, but I know for me, as I teach my kids the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And for me, I know that would mean the world to me. And so I hope it can be said, if something was to happen, I hope it could be said that, she made me feel seen. When other people didn't really, I didn't feel like anybody noticed me. I hope that people would say something like that about me. You know what I'm saying? It just, I don't know. This whole thing, I know this is weighty, probably me talking about this and life and aging and death, but what do you want to be remembered for? What do we want to be remembered for? Do we want to be remembered for being a nagging person? Do we want to be remembered for being a miserable, negative person? Always just talking defeat? Or do we want to be remembered for someone who encouraged, who made people feel seen and cared about and loved? Do we want to be remembered for causing friction between other people and sowing seeds of discord? Or somebody who brought the unity? Somebody who was a peacemaker or a peacekeeper? What do we want to be remembered for? Come on, ask yourself that. I don't even know who's watching. Listen, this is just something this is a passion. I love just sharing what God puts on my heart. What do we want to be remembered for? What is it? What is it that we want to be? Do we want to be remembered for backbiting, gossiping, judging? Or somebody who's seen the good in people? Am I perfect? Absolutely not. Lord, I've had to repent and apologize to people. We're still learning. We're still growing. We're people. We're people. I've said it even yesterday. I was talking about how our righteousness is as filthy rags. That's what Scripture teaches us. And at times we fail each other. But wouldn't it be awesome to be someone who, when someone else falls, that you apply that Scripture, how we are to restore them in a spirit of meekness? Instead of being one to be the first on the phone and say, did you hear what so-and-so did? Did you hear? Did you see that post that they made? I know people like this, if you can't tell. And listen, me and my husband have been talking about this, how there are certain traits. It's like a personality trait with different faces. It's like you have different groups of types of people. And even in the churches we've been in, like, even I've grown up in ministry, so I've been in all kinds of churches. And I notice a theme, and I notice patterns. And there will be a certain group that, even though they have different faces and they're different people, but I'm like, it's like almost a spirit, the same spirit that certain people carry. And then this group over here has a similar spirit. It's the same spirit or personality trait or whatever you want to call it, characteristics, but with a different face as at the other place we were at, And you've got some people, if you pay attention, the Lord allows us to discern And if you pay attention to people's patterns, you know, it's just, anyway, I could go on. But what do we want to be known for? And we have a choice. We have a choice, even today, that we can take even this maybe, and that'll encourage us to take maybe some time to think about these things and say, you know what? I gotta do better. I gotta change my ways. I've had to do this. Sometimes we just gotta pull ourselves in, or go low at the feet of Jesus, humble ourselves before Him, ask Him to truly examine our hearts, to try the reins of our hearts. It is the Lord, I think it's in the book of Jeremiah that says that. It is the Lord that searches the hearts and tries the reins. You know, He examines the fruit, all these things. So, you know, and then in the New Testament it talks about how the Spirit searches the deep things. Anyway, and so ask Him, Lord, search my heart. Truly, truly. Slow down enough to face yourself. Sometimes we need to do that. Sometimes we've got to put on the brake and ask ourselves some very just straight out, like just very, I don't know, direct questions. Because sometimes we get so busy and we don't even realize patterns that we're operating in. And anyway, and so ask Him, Lord, is there anything in my life that I need to surrender to You? Is there anything that I'm not operating in Your character? Is there anything that contradicts Your character? Am I misrepresenting You? Am I carrying Your name but not Your character? So anyway, and that's something we constantly need to come back to, you know, and He'll chisel us off as we surrender to Him. And you know, it's like a sculpture. I seen a skit on this years ago, but how a sculpture, you know, to get it just right, they had to do a lot of chiseling. And, you know, they take that thing and it hurts, you know, as they take the whatever kind of tool it is, and it's like they're hammering it off and it's chipping off, and they have to do a lot of chiseling, you know, and so there's some pain that we're going to go through. There's some things that's going to be uncomfortable, but to be like Him, you know, that we've got to be willing to go through that discomfort. And anyway, so pulling it all back in, I just want to encourage you as a summary here. Remember, I mean, we are aging. Life is rolling on. You know that saying, time waits for no one. We're getting older. And as we were young, now we're getting older, and people, as hard as it is to believe or accept, young people are coming up and they're getting older, and it's hard to believe. And so then it's like, you feel like you're in this odd middle place, like, especially if you're around my age. I'm 31, like I said. You've got the ones that are older and nearing home, and then you've got the younger ones. I mean, you know, their time could come at any time. It doesn't matter. Death is no respecter of persons. It could be the old or the young, a baby, a child, teenager, middle-aged, old person. But anyway, so we're getting older. We've got one life to live. How are we living it? And are we walking in the calling that God has placed in our lives? So I hope that just encourages somebody to think, to give it another thought about how we're living our lives. Are we making a difference in a positive way? Are we being effective for the kingdom of God? It's on us now. It's on us now. We've got to take the baton, or take the mantle that's been thrown to us, that's been thrown on us. We've got to run. And we've got to pave the way for those coming up behind us. So, and how we do that is following after Him, because He is the example. So anyway, I just want to share those thoughts with you. Been a while since I've been on here, so Ah, that felt good to get that off my heart. Anyway, okay, y'all have a great day.